Good morning. Welcome to Museum Connection Inspiration Conference. I'm Claire Delongeau, the event director. Today, we will talk about sustainable exhibiting, new formats and processes to adopt. I would like to thank Céline Marchand and Julie Bertrand at Paris Musée, BIRKELAND at the Climate House National History Museum of Oslo, and Birute ZMNICKA MO Museum in Vilnius for sharing their knowledge and experience today with us. A special thanks to Marguerite COURTEL, co-founder of Les Augures, who will moderate the debate. Before starting, a few practical information. We will listen to our speakers during 40 minutes, and then we will have the possibility to join each of them in a separate private room to ask your question. Simply choose on your screen the name of the institution you would like to join, and you can also switch from one room to another if you have several questions to ask to several speakers. If you meet any difficulties, feel free to ask for assistance in the chat. This inspiration conference will be the last one for 2021. Next meeting will take place for real in Paris at Museum Connection in January 2022. You will find all the information on our website. Registration is free till end of November. And now, over to you, Marguerite. I wish you all a very fruitful conference.
Thank you very much, Claire, and hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here to moderate this talk. I will start first with this very important date as my point of view. In July 2019, when Tate declared a climate and ecological emergency. As an institution, the museum committed to reducing its carbon emission by 50% by 2023. And to achieve this goal, Tate has changed its practices and made sacrifices, such as the reduction of business travel by 44% since 2013. For years now, we have witnessed numbers of exhibitions dealing with the climate crisis, biodiversity, plastic pollution, and the link with nature. We had Olafur Eliasson at Tate, we had Broken Nature at the last Triennale of Milan, we had Post Nature at the Taipei Biennale, we had Thomas Araceno at the Palais de Tokyo. As Mia Motley just said, the barbarous Prime Minister who just claimed at COP26, when will leaders lead? Our people are watching and our people are taking notes. I'm wondering right now, what are the responsibility for museums? Because museums have a responsibility to educate people on the urgent and fundamental subject of climate change and environmental crisis. Raising this subject in an exhibition is one thing, but embodying it in its practices is a whole other story. When artwork that deal with environmental crisis are energy consuming or comes from collection located far away, does it still make a sense to bring them to raise awareness? Can curatorial practices be compatible with sustainability? What are the major footprints of an exhibition? How can we work towards a circular economy of temporary exhibition? What kind of material should we use for more sustainable scenography? These are all the questions we will try to answer today. For the international museums community, lots of challenges are coming up in the contemporary age. such as the conversion and renovation of heritage buildings into exhibition halls, approaching long-term collections care in a way that does not require excessive use of energy, implementing circular economy for the exhibition scenography, as well as the use of non-polluting materials. Fortunately, lots of projects, platforms, and resources came out to deal with these issues. I can quote, for instance, the movement Museums for Future, ArtSwitch, and so on. In this vein, the collective Les Augures, which can be translated to The Omen, was created in 2020. We are a group of 4 women based in France, working along with cultural organizations to help them jumpstart the ecological transition. For this panel, I'm very happy to welcome 4 professionals from the museum sectors who are going to share their experience implementing sustainable practices. First of all, I'm happy to welcome Birute ZMNICKA, who is Head of Public Programs and Head of the Sustainability Team from the Mo Museum. Just a few words, the Mo Museum is a museum based in Vilnius, Lithuania, it was inaugurated in 2018. The Mo Museum is a personal initiative of Lithuanian scientist and philanthropist Birute to share their art collection of 5,000 modern and contemporary pieces containing major Lithuanian artworks from the 60s to this day. The second person I'm welcoming today is Anne Birkeland from the Department of Exhibition and Public Services of the House of Climate in Oslo, which was inaugurated in 2019, but only opened to the public very recently. The museum is part of the Natural History Museum and of University of Oslo. It aims to make audience understand that they are part of nature and they influence it. As you say, Ad, to empower people with knowledge. Finally, I'm very happy to welcome Julie BERTRAND, Exhibitions and Publication Director, and Céline MARCHAND, Head of the International Relations Division from the French organization Paris Museum. Since 2013, Paris Museums has brought together the City of Paris Museum and Central Services. It enables a global strategy to be launched for all museums. Paris Museum gathers a network of 40 sites, 12 museums, and 2 archaeological sites. These 4 women are here to present the great work they are doing in their organization and to respond to our question. So first of all, I'm just going to share my screen just in here. And we will start with the building. So I'm very curious because in here we have like 2 very recent buildings, and we have this Paris Museum organization dealing with lots of different buildings in Paris. So I will start with a question for you, Birute, the Mo Museum. How did the subject of sustainability come out in your organization, and how did you start with such a broad topic?
Hello, and thank you for having me today. So sustainability is Mo Museum direction from the very start, and that start was actually not so long ago. Mo is a young museum. Just a few weeks ago, we celebrated 3rd birthday. And Mo is also a small museum. Building is very compact. The size and design of the building was designed by Daniel Libeskind. It was important aspect for the museum founders. It was a thoughtful decision to have small building, and now it helps us to use less energy, to employ all possible spaces for exhibitions and activities. Although we have been trying to function in sustainable ways since the museum opening, but actually in January this year, we established sustainability group. We've been seeking for more structure, more clarity, and we wanted to define future goals. So the first step was an audit of our activities in 3 areas. It's planet, people, and profit. We were consulted by Baltic Environmental Forum. It is an NGO that works widely with this topic. But that was a group of 3 people in my team who did all work. And it was not volunteering. Dedication to this cause was as important as dedication to other projects. So maybe it's important to mention that those 3 colleagues participating in the sustainability team represent 3 departments. It's public programming, finances and sponsorships, and maintenance. And our main goal was to find those areas where can we make the biggest impact. And conclusion was actually very simple. It is human well-being. We observe a tendency to identify sustainability with ecological and climate issues only. And we want to straighten an important aspect in sustainability policy. And here I mean a social aspect. Because, you know, sustainable work is not possible without sustainable personality. And museum can contribute to people's well-being in many ways. Cultural experience helps to reduce feeling of loneliness and exclusion. Cultural experience increase positive emotions. Sense of identity helps us to relax, make us happy. So just a few weeks ago, we started a social campaign called "The Climate of the Inner World Matters Just as Much." So here I will finish for now.
Thank you so much, Birute. Yeah, just a little bit mix my mind, because first, I wanted you to explain how that sustainability came in the museum. But now we can talk about the building, and I'll be very happy, Anne, if you can talk more about the House of Climate in Oslo, and how did the building came out, the construction, and how it has been very sustainable in a way.
Yes, hello from Oslo. I can talk about that, but I would like you to go back one step to show the first picture from the Climate House. Yeah, thank you. At the Natural History Museum of Oslo, we found that it was important for us to contribute to the public the scientific knowledge of climate and climate changes. Therefore, it was decided to build a new building for these topics. The first thing we did was to make a document that we called "What is it we most want?" document. In this document, we describe what is necessary, absolutely necessary for the building, and the exhibitions with such a topic. And this document was a basic document for the architects. So the architects had to meet our demands, and the key words here are that the building is a passive house, which is a Norwegian, well, it is an international concept. It means that the building itself has to use ultra little amounts of energy. And this building has ended up with using 52% less energy than reference buildings. And we also wanted the house to be what is called a future built plus house, which is certificate in Norway. I'm sure that there are similar things in other countries as well. To meet the requirements of a future built plus house, the house itself have to produce energy, and it has to produce more energy than it uses itself. So we produce more energy through the house, and the surplus energy go to the neighbor house, which is a heritage building housing our geological museum. And as you see on the pictures at the bottom of the slide, the roof is covered by solar panels. And the roof is facing southwards. Well, the solar part of the roof is facing southwards. And this actually produces so much energy all year around, even in the winter time. It also is, it is needed that the energy the house use is electric power to meet the requirements of future built plus house. We also have heating from district heating production through garbage incineration in Oslo, but this is energy that we use, and that is not a production of energy itself. In addition, we have a requirement of low ecological footprints on the building materials, and as you can see, it is wooden. The wall is are wooden, and it's made of what is called ore pine. This is a kind of pine that is very robust, and it doesn't need any surface treatment of that can pollute, like paint, for example. And it is from Norwegian forest, so it has a low CO2 emission through transport, for example. Well, the ventilation of the house has to be low energy. So we have a natural ventilation by letting air in through the walls at a low position on the walls, and it naturally moves out to the other part of the building at a high position of the wall. So it is a flow of energy through in the rooms in the building. Yeah, could you go to the next slide? Or do you want to ask another question?
No, I was maybe, maybe you can talk about effectively how it came out.
Yeah. To meet the requirements of a future built certificate, also the construction site has to be fossil free. The energy carrier has to be fossil free, and all the machineries and other kinds of equipment used at the building site was either battery or electrified energy from the site. So this was one of the first fossil-free building sites in Norway. And these days there are more fossil-free building sites, but we were one of the first. And in the interior, if you could go to the next slide. Yeah. On the left top picture, you see some of the interior of our house. And also here, you can see that the walls are pine from short traveled forests, wood. You can also see a glimpse of the ceiling, which is a shiny metal-like surface. And this is actually perforated steel plates made from recycled steel. And on the bottom picture on the left side, you can see that we have a floor as well, but you cannot see what the floor is made of. It is actually made of extreme low carbon concrete. Concrete is one of the major CO2 emissions into the atmosphere and oceans. But this concrete is, well, in concrete, there are fillers that make the quality of the material. And in this concrete, there is added leftover steel from steel production. So it's something that is actually a kind of garbage is used into this concrete, and it makes the quality of the concrete. And this concrete is actually the lowest carbon emission concrete per cubic meter in Norway ever. It was developed for this building, and now it will be used in other buildings as well. So we have been part of an innovative process.
Super interesting. Thank you, Anne. I'll be very happy. So this is very interesting to see that with a solar panel, even if you are in Oslo, you can produce enough energy for the whole building and for the whole museums. I will be very happy also to have more information from Paris Museum, which is dealing with 14 different sites, which are sometimes heritage building. So maybe you can tell us more about your experience dealing with energy control with all the different sites you are dealing with.
Yes, hello Marguerite, I can answer to this first question. Very nice to meet you, Birute and Anne, and thank you very much for sharing your experience. Indeed, we are in a very different situation since, as you said, Marguerite, we are dealing with a heritage building that were not all of them museums when they were conceived. So we are dealing with about 15 heritage buildings, including mansions of the 16th, 17th century, Art Deco building or artist studios that were originally conceived with poor materials. So many different kinds of buildings, but all of them have one common point, is that they leak a lot of energy. So this was our concern. We had the chance to receive an important grant of the City of Paris in 2016 for a 5-year renovation plan that included 8 of the sites. The goals were to improve visitor services, the accessibility to disabled people, and of course the sustainability of our buildings in accordance with the City of Paris policy for climate action. We have been trying to act on several aspects of what make a building sustainable or more sustainable when we talk about heritage buildings. So first, we worked on the cooling and heating systems, because as we keep artworks, we have important conservation requirements and difficult conservation requirements. So we've worked first on the source of energy by implementing, for example, at the Musée d'Art Moderne, systems that use local sustainable providers, such as Climespace, a sustainable district cooling network that uses the cold of the river Seine, or the CPCU, the same kind of system for heating, sustainable heating system. We have also implemented automatization of the control of these systems to make sure that we never, or at least not waste energy, and that we are able to precisely control the parameters of these systems. Then we, of course, also have to work on the insulation of our buildings. It is obviously a key point for heritage buildings, as I was saying. And so we work on the insulation of roof and attics, for example, at the Musée de la Libération or at the Maison Balzac. For these two museums as well, we have to create new buildings to welcome our visitors. So for these new buildings, then we created digitalized roofs. At the Maison Victor Hugo, we changed all the windows. So we worked on all kind of insulation. The third point were the lighting systems. We've been changing the lights and their control system progressively since the past 5-8 years with LED and low energy bulbs. And we reduced our use of energy thanks to automatization again of their control. For example, at the Musée Carnavalet that just reopened a few months ago after 4 years of renovation. Of course, we still have a lot to do. Learning to deal more precisely with this automatization process and systems, and also, but Julie and I will share this with you later in our future goals. Also to try to adapt our requirements to what we can really do with these buildings.
Thank you so much, Céline. This is very impressive. And I really invite you to maybe join Céline's room by the end if you are dealing with heritage building and how to adapt. Let's go maybe further into the exhibition process. What kind of maybe tools and resources have you developed for sustainability practices? Did you maybe make special efforts and tricks for the picture rails, for instance? I don't know, maybe Birute or Anne, you had some special tricks to share with our listener.
Well, I can say a little bit about this, what we do in the Climate House. Our goal one of our goals was to use as little energy as possible in the exhibition areas as well. And also use as little as possible of digital tools, because we know that the use of digital tools has the same emission equivalence as international air traffic about that. So we has tried to use more, well, you see on the right hand side of this slide, there are people touching objects. And these are natural and real objects from our scientific collections. So we have a hands-on kind of exhibition that uses very little energy. And this also goes very well with the knowledge from learning sciences that tells us that active people using their own motoric abilities, their own senses in their hands and so on, they learn more and open up more to knowledge than people watching screens and so on. So that is perhaps a simple or banal way of being sustainable, but it fits with our the theme we are talking about. On the left lower corner, there is a picture. I showed it. I spoke about it before about the floor. But you also see there is a production of a film. It's a video film. It's a 90-second video film telling a story of biodiversity, which is a theme of our exhibitions. These films are the most energy demanding part of our exhibitions. So that is what we have chosen to spend the energy that we are allowed to, and I mean allowed to, due to the energy production from the roof. We cannot use more energy than the house produces itself. So we have chosen to use as little energy and digital equipment as possible, as we find as possible in our exhibitions. So that is one trick.
Yes, thank you. Very interesting. In terms of this, numeric stuff, maybe Birute, you can share.
Yes, maybe I will shortly present two main principles that we established at MA. So it is a limited number of exhibitions. We present only 2 big and 2 small shows per year. And other principle is long-lasting content. So we are offering virtual guided tours of our free exhibitions that took place at MA in previous years. In the virtual guided tour, the MA guide gives online visitor a detailed and step-by-step overview of the exhibition and the works on display. Then we create e-guide for big exhibition, and it is not audio guide. The e-guide provides audio, textual, and visual information about the works and artists. And finally, it is very exciting to highlight that our exhibition started their journey through different cities in Lithuania. So one of our exhibitions, after being presented at MA, was adapted for smaller spaces and have already visited 6 cities across Lithuania. And we have an agreement with 5 more cities that they will welcome our latest exhibition. So I know that we use fuel for travels, that we use energy for the internet, but our goal is to share important message that art can bring.
Yes, thank you, Birute. Yeah, of course, it's using other kind of energy, but with like not so much exhibition and long-lasting content. It can maybe also balance all of it. It's another approach. Maybe we can also hear the good practices of Paris Museum in terms of really production. What are you implementing in the museum that you can share with our listeners?
Okay, yes, of course, we for Paris Musée, we are organizing about 25 exhibitions each year. So it's not exactly the good solution, but we have also 14 sites. And our museums are, the environmental impacts are related in particular to the materials used for our scenographies. And it is why we have asked the architects in all our exhibition programs for the scenography to reuse scenographic elements. We give a list of all the elements that can be reused for several exhibitions and between also our 14 museums. So it's one of our tricks to continue to have so much exhibitions and to propose 25 exhibitions. And we also ask our architects when possible to use the same scenography for several exhibitions. For 2 or 3 exhibitions, as you can see on the slide for the Musée Cognac G, we reuse the same metal structure for exhibition panels. So we have become experts for cheating on the visitors and make them believe that the exhibition design is entirely new whereas it has just been repainted and some walls removed between 2 or 3 exhibitions. We include also we include among the criteria of the choice of the architect during the evaluation process, the architect that proposes the most reuses will be selected. And we also work with on our walls. We use removable walls like kit wall, because of course the walls represent a large portion of exhibits budget and a large portion of dismantling waste. So for us, working on their modularity saves money and limits waste. The idea behind all of this is to extend the life of those scenographies. We also, our objective is also to change, the idea of all of this is to change the way we produce. And for that, we have launched an audit to calculate our carbon footprint, to explore new ways, new solutions of production.
Super interesting. Thank you so much, Julie. So you made this audit, and this is of course a strength and a difficulty to deal with 14 museums, but it also permits to borrow some elements from a place to another. So it can be, of course, a solution. I am also wondering what are maybe the next challenges that you are facing right now. You are already doing lots of very inspiring stuff, but what are the next challenges and maybe the main obstacles to go further? Céline or Julie, if you can share.
For me, the main obstacles for Paris Musée is the need of a storage place for all those elements that we want to reuse. Also to obtain that the curators take into account systematically the ecology matters for the design of the exhibitions, and also the control of the recycling efforts of our companies. It's not so simple for the moment. And for me, for us, for Paris Musée, the next challenges are also to change the habit of the institutions about the transports of the works, to limit the carbon footprint, to have perhaps to work more with rental grades and not with new grades, to limit the number of countries in our list of works, or to transport with other European institutions and not make a transatlantic transport for one exhibition in Europe, but regroup the transport and share energy and cost. So we have to propose co-organization with several institutions. We also have to work and propose more exhibitions of our own collections. We have to limit the number of couriers and propose to do the condition reports by video conference. We have to obtain credit to engage one person to be responsible for all those ecological matters for Paris Musée, I mean. We have to propose ecological training for all the staff. We have to work also on our condition loan agreement and propose to adapt the temperature and hygrometry presentation of the works. And also we want to work and adapt the loan conditions of the exhibition space to the local climate. The idea is to try to endorse in our loan agreement the guidelines of the International BISO group.
Yeah, this BISO new group, that just came out. Birute, what are the next challenges and maybe the difficulties you came through at the Mo Museum?
Actually, the biggest challenge is to increase awareness that sustainability is not only ecology, it's not only planet, and that the main actor is a man who should take care of himself, and then he or she will take care of others and planet. So here is our mission here in Lithuania.
And do you have maybe some challenges? Even if I know that the museum is very, very recent and it's so nice.
Yeah, we don't have those large challenges that the rest of you. We have both a new building where all those principles are made real somehow, and also the challenges that Birute has is the topic of our exhibitions in the Climate House. So we are lucky in that matter. We have small challenges compared to this, but a few weeks ago we met one challenge. The staff wanted to go to Bergen, a city on the western coast of Norway, to learn from a museum there, to watch their exhibitions. And the economic system of the university says that we should travel by the cheapest, as cheap as possible. And in Norway, that means traveling by plane. It's much more expensive to travel by train. So that's systematic challenges in our society that we meet every once in a while to be completely true to our own goals. And this is also an example of what we have set as a challenge for ourselves, is to discuss with the economical department of the university to improve the ecological awareness of our economic system. Well, we are small compared to the rest of the university, but we will try to take part in that discussion and evolution of the economic system of our university. So that's a few examples from Oslo.
Thank you very much. And you shared with me previously this group of teenagers, this group of youth people who are like, maybe can you tell us more how you are working with them?
Yeah, we have had, the main target group of the museum are young people, because they are the ones who is taking over the world after us. And we have an expert group, we call them. It's a group of 10 to 15 young people from Oslo, from the age of 13 to 18, about, that we meet every once in a while. We had a meeting in October, and we discuss with them what kind of arrangements, what kind of activities do they think will be important for young people in Oslo that we can have in the Climate House. It should be arrangements that has to do with biodiversity and climate change. And we listen to them, and we do. It's not only how should I put that? It's not only to be nice to the young people, but we really listen to them. It's important for us to be relevant for the young people. And we also had a group of, we had investigation before we built the Climate House and decided what the exhibition should, what we should choose to exhibit in the house. We investigated what do young people know about climate and climate change, and we found, for example, that they often don't differ between weather or climate change, man-made climate change, natural climate change, pollution, and everything that has to do with environmental things. So this investigation guided us into what is important to exhibit, what themes are important to exhibit in the climate house. So we had young people from the beginning, and we still use take directions from young people still.
Super inspiring. Thank you. I think if you want to learn more how to raise awareness and how to create an exhibition on climate change and environmental crises, I really recommend you to share with Anne Birkeland from the Climate House in Oslo, and embedding more with long-term collection, heritage building, and lots of production sustainability problem. I really recommend to maybe join Céline and Julie, who will share the knowledge and experience. And Birute, with this the Mo Museum in Vilnius, Lithuania, we can talk about this long-term exhibition, and all this digital experience the Mo Museum is dealing, and also, of course, all this well-being topic, which is fundamental for this Mo Museum. So I think, yeah, you are invited to join some rooms right now if you want to have like a more private and intimate discussion with the participant of this talk today.